Hello and welcome to Board Game Gumbo. Today we're unboxing MonstroCity by Vesuvius Media, along with its expansion, Rampage. MonstroCity is a game for 1 to 4 players. It is cooperative, and it plays in 20 to 30 minutes. So let's look at our rule book first. This is a fairly lightweight game, although this is a pretty large rule book, but they seem to explain everything fairly well. Here's our overview. There is a timer app that you can download with appropriate monster sounds because part of the game is timed. It's a bit like a timed cooperative version of King of Tokyo. So we have some Punchboard here. These are just different effects that can come out during the course of the game. We've got negative effects here like barricades and tanks and helicopters that can come against your monsters. We've got different trackers here. So each monster will have a rage bar, and that's what that token is for. And then they'll have a health bar. And then you've got the round tracker and the threat level tracker. And this is all really well put together cardboard here. Everything punches out pretty easily. I like the graphics. I kind of wish they were double-sided, but the art on them is really nice. Has good color to it. Here we have our game board, which will fill up with different things. So it's really just pretty basic to start with. Just has various different zones within the city. Let's see what else we've got here. So our police tracker, there'll be police car miniatures that will come out and be put on the board. They'll move from, you'll place the ones on the right first and then move over to the left. And as there are more police on the board, the danger of them, the amount of damage they can do increases. We've got some punch-out pieces here as well. And these are for the different towers. You're going to have to assemble the towers at the start. So we'll go through that once we get to those pieces. We've got some plastic here. These look like our different monsters. Yes. And this is really one of the things that drew me to this game in particular, is this kind of old school Rampage type game. So here we've got our ape monster, and the quality of the miniatures is pretty good. It's got some detail in it. It's a little flat as far as the detail goes, but it's not bad. So another one. They've got a very cartoony look to them, which, just depending on your personal preference, you may enjoy or not. This is probably my favorite one. The big turtle with a cannon on its back is always fun. And the last one, we've got a little rhino hero here as well. And these are what you'll be playing as. You are the monsters, and obviously you'll be out on the board and moving around trying to destroy the town. We've got dice. So one of the main parts of this game is the action phase where you'll be rolling dice. You'll be rolling simultaneously and you'll also be timed. So essentially you'll start the timer and then you'll start rolling dice, and you have to resolve all the dice you roll. But once you resolved all your dice, as long as there's time left over, you can roll again and just keep going until either your hero is defeated, at which point you take them off the board until the next round, or the timer runs out. These dice are pretty standard. These look like perhaps heat shrink to them. I wish the icons were a little bit bigger. It's actually, that's a tower defense, but it's a little difficult to actually see just because of how small the artwork is. But the dice themselves are really nice. There's no peeling. Doesn't seem to be any sort of issue with the artwork or the stickers themselves. We've got here are our police cars. And these will be placed out onto the board and will be essentially just detriments to the characters while they're out on the board, potentially doing damage to you. We've got a deck of cards here. So there are a couple different types of cards here. So these are reinforcement cards, and these are essentially good things. So you have things like an airstrike comes out and removes police cars, or you increase your hero by speed by 1. And then you have, so these are the reinforcement cards. And then you have these other cards where bad things will happen. So for instance, each monster loses a die. They get it back when they destroy a building or die and respawn. Or each monster takes 3 damage and repair 2 damage times the number of player on buildings. And then here at the back, we've got some with different backs than this one. And these look like, these are the different things that spawn. So the things that put out the tanks, and it tells you where they spawn at. We got some additional cards here. These just explain the health of the buildings based off the number of players you have. So you can give these out to each player. The health of the buildings goes up the more players you have. So it's basically just little cheat sheets that tell you how the round works. You've got a spawn phase first where you'll put, if your monster isn't on the board, either because it's the first round or because it was defeated in the previous round, that's when you'll put your monster out. Then you'll spawn police cars. You have a retaliation phase, which is where you'll resolve the retaliation cards, basically the bad effect cards against your players. The Rampage round, where you'll play a 2-minute round, and that's where you're rolling dice and taking your action. And then you've got cleanup, where you're going to adjust the city threat level and spawn event cards for the round. So that's all the cards we have. Over here, let's take this out of here. We got instructions on how to build our different buildings. So there are several different types of buildings. There are turret buildings, which can attack your characters. And then there are kind of generic buildings, and then there are special buildings as well. But here we have the threat board. So the threat board here will start at 1, and it'll move up as you destroy buildings and as other things happen. You got the round tracker down here. You're going to play up to 5 rounds, or if you destroy all the buildings, you'll immediately win. You've got spaces here, and these are when the retaliation cards will come out, and then the assistance cards will come out. And then depending on what row you're in is the threat value. So there are certain things that affect based on the threat value, and that's what this number here on the right is. You've got the player boards here. So each person will have a player board for whatever monster they choose to play as. These are a nice little linen finish, but they're a little bit thin. They're more like cardboard consistency as opposed to like a chipboard like this one is. So you got your character name, their speed, their health, which will start at max. If you ever get knocked out, you go to 0 health. On the next round, when you come back in, you'll go to max health. And then you got your rage, and then whatever your rage is, you can activate whenever your rage hits 5. They've got a second side here. It looks just like this is just an advanced side. So you can choose to play on whatever side you want. But that's your 4 you got here. And then you've got all the pieces to put together your various buildings, as well as some generic cubes. These are just damage cubes because the towers have a varying amount of health. You've got cubes to keep track of it whenever you do damage to a building. But here are the buildings, which you'll have to put together before you start. We'll just show you one real quick. These are pretty straightforward. They're just, again, cardboard. You can see here, it's just going to fold out like so. And then this is a turret building. So we're going to need a gray base because everything uses a gray base. Actually, it looks like these use a red base. For a turret, we're going to have a red base. It snaps on pretty easily, and then a red top as well. And again, you've got these little cardboard pieces from earlier that are going to slot in here. This is mostly just for decoration to show you that it's a turret. And you got other ones here. These are specialty buildings, which will have purple bases. And then, but most of these are just generic buildings, which will have gray bases, and they actually color code the inside. These are fine. I've seen games use these kind of 3D things together, and they look, they give you a nice view on the board. I kind of wish the graphics on this were a little more elaborate. They seem kind of plain, but there's nothing wrong with them. So that's going to be the base game. And then over here, we're going to have the expansion box, which is just going to add more characters as well as some upgraded pieces. So let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick. Got a little expansion rule book, which is basically just going to be explanations of our new heroes. It's got some missions in it as well, which is interesting. So it's got some scenarios that you can set up specifically. Here's our character boards for our new monsters. We've got the Blast Sheep, the Charlotte, Venus McFly, the Jackalope, PFC Panda, Misty the Dragon. We've got some additional cards. These, are the same as the base cards, so I'm not going to go through these, but you can see this one just adds more time to the current round. And then you've got more pieces. So we've got some upgrades here, first of all. We got some upgraded helicopters. So instead of putting out the cardboard pieces like those, you'll actually have miniatures to put out. Looks like we've got those for all of the little blocking things. So you got your little shield generator. Got little 3D med packs, 3D tanks. Got little road barricades that'll be put out, and some energy packs. Let's take a look at a couple of these heroes. We won't go through all of them. Here's the Panda. Let's see. Let's do this one. the blast sheet. So obviously the designers have a sense of humor to be doing heroes like this, or I guess villains, depending on what way you're looking at it. And then we got the jackalope here. So that's it. That's everything you're going to get in a copy of MonstroCity by Vesuvius Media, as well as the Rampage expansion.